How I test my English. It is Monday again, and I go to my school. Our teacher asks us what we did at the weekend. I say that I was at work on Saturday. I can already do my work well. I am happy when I can speak to our customers. When I speak, one of the girls in the class asks me, "What happened to your voice? You sound very different from what we heard last week. Your pronunciation is very good." I smile and I say, "Thank you. I used shadowing on Saturday evening after my work and the whole Sunday. I tried to speak like a native speaker. I know that it is not perfect, but I also see a big change in my pronunciation." Our teacher asks if other students tried to practice shadowing. 3 students say yes. One of them is the student from South Korea. He also likes the technique. One student says that she tried the technique, but her mouth was in pain after 5 minutes of shadowing and she stopped. She also says that she wasn't always be able to repeat everything, because the recording was very fast for her. Our teacher say, "Thank you for trying out this technique. If you do shadowing for the first time, and your mouth is in pain after 5 minutes, you do it correctly. You need to train your muscles to this new way of speaking. It is like going to the gym for the first time. Your muscles can hurt if they are not trained. If the muscles in our mouth hurt, you can take a break after 5 minutes of shadowing and you can continue a bit later. With every 5 minutes of practice, your pronunciation is better." Shadowing has also other advantages. You practice the correct pronunciation in English, and you also practice other things. For example, intonation, rhythm, and connecting words in whole sentence. I know that at the beginning the recording can sometimes be very fast for you. If this happens, you can repeat only the first or the last word in the sentence. With practice you will be able to repeat more. I say that it is true. On Saturday when I started with shadowing, it was difficult for me. But on Sunday evening, it was easy to repeat what I heard. Then I have a question for our teacher. I tell her that I looked at grammarinlevels.com. The website is interesting, but I don't know but level is for me because I don't know how many words I know. Our teacher says, there is a website for people who study foreign languages. You can do it there. You can know how many words you know. That test has only 2 steps and it is really simple. The name of the website is testlanguages.com. You can do the test every month and you can see how much you improved during that month. If you want, you cannot take your smartphone and go to that website and do the test. I am really interested in knowing how many words I know. I do the test immediately. I find out that I know 2,100 words in English. Most of the students know between 2,000 to 2,200 words. Only Monica and the boy from South Korea know 2,500 words. Our teacher says, so, you can see that when you go to grammarinlevels.com, you should already know grammar from level 2. You can start using grammar from level 3 because level 3 is for students who know between 2,000 to 3,000 words. Test your progress every month. How I handle mistakes. On Tuesday I go to school again. One student asks our teacher an interesting question. She says, I want to practice speaking with people around me but I don't want to make mistakes that I don't want to look stupid. Can you help me? Our teacher says making mistakes is a very interesting topic. There are a lot of opinions on this topic. I want to show you what I believe is the best to do. I have a lot of experience with this, because I also learn new languages. For example, now I am learning Spanish. When I speak Spanish, I don't care if I make mistakes or not. The reason why I don't care about the mistakes is simple. When I learned my native language, I didn't care about making mistakes. Mistakes weren't important for me. My main goal when I use any languages to say my ideas. It is all. I know that when I read a lot, speak and do shadowing, my Spanish will be better and better. I know that this can look very simple, but it is my opinion. This is what I learned after many years of teaching and learning languages. It works very well for me and many of my students. When I speak, I only concentrate on speaking. At the moment I know 1500 words in Spanish. It is the level of 2-year-old child. 2-year-old children make a lot of mistakes when they speak, but they don't care about their mistakes. They continue using the native language, and when they are 3 years old they make very few mistakes. And when they are 4 years old, they usually speak very well. You can do the same. Now most of you know about 2000 words. So it is absolutely okay to make mistakes time to time. When you continue using English, there will be fewer and fewer mistakes in your speaking. It is not possible to go to a higher level if you don't make mistakes. When you practice English, it is okay not to be perfect. Perfection comes with practice. All people who started to learn English started from the beginning, from the same level, from level 0. Learning languages is like learning to play a musical instrument. It needs to be trained. When you start your training, it is not perfect at the beginning and you make mistakes. It is normal. Take it as a necessary part of your learning process. If you don't go through this period of making mistakes, you cannot get the higher levels. When you continue to use English, the mistakes can step by step go away. If you want to make fewer and fewer mistakes, do a lot of reading and shadowing. When you read, you can read aloud. It can also help you make fewer mistakes. In a real conversations, care only about exchanging ideas. Don't care about making mistakes. When you speak, you practice changing your ideas to words. You don't learn grammar or words. You have other activities for it. If you don't want to make mistakes, do a lot of reading and shadowing. How to improve listening skills. The next day, I go to school again. One of the students has an important question. He wants to know how to improve his listening skills. He wants to improve what the best method is. Our teacher says, "Thank you for your question. Good listening skills are very important for communication. If you don't understand what people are saying, it will be difficult for you to speak with them." There are a lot of materials on the internet for students of English. Some students can have a problem to choose the right listening materials for them. Now I want to tell you what materials you can use for listening. There are 2 types of materials which you can use for listening. You can listen to some audio or you can watch a film. These are 2 different types of material. When you listen to some audio, it is good to know 95% of the words or more. If the audio has a lot of new words, read the text first if possible and look at all new words in the dictionary. When you practice listening, you practice getting information from a spoken language. You don't try to learn new words. Of course, sometimes you can learn new words, but it is not the main goal. When you listen, concentrate on getting information from spoken English. It is important to use materials at your level of English. For example, you can use books in simplified English which have an audio recording. I really recommend these books to you. They are fantastic because you can choose a book at your level of English. When you have such a book, read the book first and then listen to the recording at home, or when you travel you can read to great books at RobinsonCrusoeandLevels.com or TheLittlePrinceIanPeebles.com. You can also visit newsinlevels.com if you like listening to the news. All these materials are in 3 levels of English. The second type of materials for listening practice are films and videos on YouTube.com. These are also very good. You can start to use them when you know 2000 words in English or more. This is what you should do with a film. Watch it for the first time with subtitle so that you know the story of the film. Then watch the film without the subtitles. If you like the film very much, you can watch it more than once. When you watch one film many times with every view, you can understand more. It is also good to watch videos on the internet about interesting subjects. For example, if you like nature, you can watch documentaries about nature. You can also watch reality shows. Reality shows are much easier to understand than films or documentaries, because the structure of the show is usually the same. It is necessary to have at least 30 minutes of listening every day. When you listen to English materials, always look at what you are already understand. It can be the 10% at the beginning. It is better than 0%. Continue to listening and soon it can be 20% or 30%. Always look at what you already know. Be happy for every new sentence with you understand. Does this information help you? Yes, say students, thank you. The listening topic is very interesting for me. Now I know what to do when I want to be better at listening. When you want to be good at listening, listen for 30 minutes every day. What you need before you start. On Friday we have an interesting conversation in our class. Our teacher has a question for us. She asks, do you remember your first impulse to learn English? Do you remember the moment when you started to learn English? I say that, I remember the moment when I started to be interested in English. My teacher says, can you tell us about this moment? I say, yes. First I have to say that English wasn't always my favorite subject. I started to learn English at high school. At the beginning it was very difficult for me. I didn't understand the structure of the language. It was illogical for me. I tried to remember words. I tried to learn grammar but it was very hard for me. When I finished high school I was still only a beginner. I couldn't speak English and I believed that I couldn't learn this language. I believed that English wasn't for me. Then something happened. I always liked music and when I was 20, I started to listen to the Beatles. I wanted to understand their songs. So I started to translate the text of their songs. Slowly I understood more and more. Then I met two ladies from England on the train. We had a simple conversation but it helped me very much. I started to believe that I could learn English. From that moment, I was working on my English almost every day and I was better and better. Then I started to go to this school. My teacher thanks me for telling my story. She also tells me, here is something very interesting about your story. First you didn't have motivation to learn English. Then you had motivation. You want to understand songs, you can see that motivation is very important. When you have it, you can learn English. When you don't have it, it is very hard to be successful. Then our teacher asks everybody in the class about their motivation to learn English. The stories are very interesting. One girl's motivation is to be able to read historical books in original English. One student wants to be a professional tennis coach in England. He wants to speak perfect English before he starts his career as a coach. One woman wants to work for a big international company. She needs English for her job. I can see that everybody has some motivation to use English in real life or to get information from books. At the end of the lesson our teacher asks us if we like English. I say, I didn't like English at my high school but now I like it a lot. I can see how useful it is to know this language. Our teacher says, this is another important factor when you learn a new language. It is good when you like something which is connected to English. It can be people, music, culture or history. If you like English, it is easier for you to learn it. If you want to communicate in English, it is good to know 3,000 words or more. If you don't like English, it is more difficult to find time to practice. Then it is difficult to get to the level of 3,000 words. I can agree with my teacher. Now, I like the Beatles, and also my teacher and my boss, who is also English. I also like English humor. Now, it is much easier for me to find time to practice English every day. When you want to learn English, you need to have motivation to use English every day. How to improve your accent. On Tuesday, when I am at my work, something interesting happens. Two customers come to our cafe. They are husband and wife. The man starts to speak to me. I know that he speaks English, but I don't understand him. I don't understand what he wants. I think that he wants something which we don't have. So, I call my boss. She speaks with the man and she sells him 2 coffees and 2 sandwiches. I am surprised. When they leave, I go to my boss and I tell her that I am sorry that I didn't understand the man. She says that it is okay. She says that this can happen when people speak with an accent which is new to us. She tells me that the pair was from Scotland. The next day, I go to school and tell this story to my teacher. I tell her that I felt really stupid when I didn't understand our customers. I wasn't sure that my English was good for my job. My boss was okay with it, but I still needed some help from my teacher. I wanted to know what I could do in these situations. My teacher says, I understand your point. But the Scottish accent is new for you. Your ears aren't trained for the Scottish accent. You need to listen more to Scottish English. You need to train your ears to this accent too. What happened to you can happen to everybody. When you already speak English at some level and you go to a country where people speak with a different accent, it is normal that you don't understand. It is okay, and it usually takes 2 weeks before you understand this new accent. Don't think that there is something wrong with you when you don't understand a new accent. With practice you can train your ears to this accent. Then I ask, so what can I do to understand the Scottish accent? I don't live in Scotland. Our teacher says, you can watch films with Scottish English or you can watch situation comedies from Scotland and soon you can understand. I say, thank you, teacher. After school, I go to my work again. At about 4 o'clock, 2 interesting customers come to our cafe. This time they are not from Scotland. They are foreigners. They want to buy some coffee. They are 2 ladies and it is clear that their English is very basic. My boss is serving them. When she hears that they don't speak English very well, she does something very interesting. She changes her English. She uses very simple sentences with only 3 or 4 words. I can see that the ladies understand her. They buy 2 coffees, 2 sandwiches and 2 cakes. They are happy and my boss is happy too. When the ladies leave, I tell my boss that it was very nice how she changed her English so that the 2 ladies understood her. My boss says that sometimes she has to speak in a very simple English. It doesn't matter if the customers speak English well or not. They are our customers and we have to do everything possible for them. If they see that they can speak English here, they can come to our cafe every day. I think that our boss is a good businesswoman. She does everything possible to make our customers happy. It is true that we have a lot of customers. Our cafe is busy every day. When you want to understand people with a special accent, listen to audio with their accent for some time. The next day at school, I tell my teacher about my experience with my boss and the 2 ladies who didn't speak English very well. Our teacher says, great, your boss must be a very clever young lady. It is true that you can communicate with everybody. People who speak English very well can have a conversation with those who are at the beginning of their journey. Today, we can speak about different levels of English and what you can do at this level. Let's start with the lowest level of 1000 words. At this level students can speak about some basic things from everyday life. The speaking is very limited, but it is already possible to communicate slowly for a short time with people who want to speak with you. Your sentences are short. They have usually 4 words. If the others also speak in short sentences, you can have a basic conversation. When students move to higher level, which is 2000 words, the conversations are easier and the sentences are longer. This is the level at which you are right now. You can speak about many things from your life. You can speak about your family, hobbies, job, and traveling. Sometimes you can have a problem when you want to go into a deeper conversation on some topics. But this level is usually good enough for everyday use of English. If you want to be able to have a deeper conversation on many topics, it is good to know 3,000 words. It is good goal for students of English. Of course, you can learn more than 3,000 words. With more words it is easier for you to communicate in English. But 3,000 words in the level that is usually enough for communicating in English about almost everything. I think that the two ladies at your cafe knew about 1,000 words. Your boss went to their level and she had a basic conversation with them. After my school, I go to my work. That two women come to our cafe again. They also bring two of their friends. It is my turn to serve them. I speak to them in simple short sentences. They understand me. This is great. They tell me that they are tourists from Japan. They tell me that they like our cafe because people understand them here. When you want to be able to communicate in English, learn 3,000 words. Who is talented? The next day is Friday and I go to school again. I am happy that I go to this class not only because we have a great teacher. I like this class because there are students from many different countries. Some students are from Europe. Some students are from South America. There is also one student from Japan and one from South Korea in my class. This is good for me because the students don't speak my native language. When I speak to them, I have to use only English. It is very good for my practice. Today, we have another new student in our class. His name is Jake. He is from Argentina. At the beginning of the lesson, Jake says that he thinks that he doesn't have a talent for studying languages, but he wants to work hard to be better. My teacher asks him, "Why do you think that you don't have a talent?" He answers, "I think that I don't have a talent because my sister learns English very fast, but for me it is difficult." Then our teacher asks everybody in the class, "Do you think that you have a talent for learning languages? Please put your hand up if you believe that you have a talent." I look around the class and nobody puts their hands up. My teacher smiles, then she says, "Now I want to tell you something. Many people think that you need to have a talent if you really want to learn a new language. I agree. Yes, you need to have a talent if you want to learn a new language, but I also believe that you already have a talent for learning languages." Why do you have a talent? You have a talent because you already learn one language, which is your native language. You were successful at learning your native language and you speak that language fluently. All people who can learn their native language have a talent for learning languages. Why do many students believe that they are not talented? The reason is this. There are people who are super talented. Yes, it is true. These super talented people remember new words very fast and for a longer time. Maybe you know these people. Maybe it is somebody at your work or in your family. There are not many of these people but they exist. I believe that this can be Jake's sister as well. Learning a new language is fun for these people and they can do it easily. Jake says that it is true, that his sister is really better than everybody else. Our teacher continues, "It is true that these super talented people exist. It is a fact and we can't do anything about it. And it is not a problem. The problem is that we can compare ourselves to these people, and if we don't learn as fast as they do, we think that we are not talented. I want to ask you for one thing. Please do not compare yourself to these super talented people. Yes, they are lucky and they have an advantage. But you can be lucky too and you are super talented to do other things. Maybe you are more talented than others, when you learn to sing, swim, play tennis, count numbers, or repair cars. People are not all the same. It is a beauty of this world. Now, you can believe that you are also talented, maybe not super talented, but talented. When you believe that you are talented, learning English will be easier for you. These words from our teacher are very helpful for us. I know that I am talented at playing football and tennis. Now I know that I am also talented at learning English. It is great. And what is also great is that there is a school party in the evening. If you can speak your native language, then you have a talent for learning English.